Russell Conti, and today I'd like to demonstrate to you how to construct a side slant pocket for a pair of trousers. So without further ado, let's get right to it. First thing you'll notice here is I've got some sample pieces cut from manila, and I'm doing a half scale pattern, so it just means it's been condensed down just for brevity and to make a small sample. Here's would be the front of the pant where the fly is. Here's my side front with a slant. You're going to cut one self. We have our pocketing pieces. We have our front facing for the pocket bag. That's going to be cut with self. It's also going to be fused. And we're going to overlock this edge right here, along that edge there. And then we have the back overlay for the pocket pouch. And we're going to overlock this edge as well. It's going to lay in just like that eventually. And then we have our pocket bag. And we'll cut one from pocketing or from lining. Once we've prepared our pieces, we've fused the back of the front facing and we've overlocked the leading edge here. We've also overlocked the edge of the back overlay. Some people like to fuse this as well. I don't choose to do that. You may if you like. And then our pocket bag has been cut. What we're going to do is we're going to place the back overlay first. So face up to the inside of the pocket bag. We're going to align the edges, make sure our notches match up. And we can baste in place along the edge here, or we can stay stitch. And stay stitch is simply a stitch that's going to be inside the seam allowance, so it won't be visible later on. So I typically myself sew about 1/8 of an inch away from all the edges there, and then I'm ready for the next step. I've sewn the back overlay for the pocket bag into place, and now I'm ready for the next step. Some people actually like to take the front facing and sew it into place as well. I actually prefer to sew it into the pant at the same time I'm sewing the pocketing. I'll demonstrate that now. So I'm going to remove the front facing. I'm going to turn the pocket bag over so that the inside of the pocket bag is face down, so you won't see the overlay. And then my garment, the front of my pant, is going to be face up. I'm going to go ahead and align the slants for the pocket, just like that. And then I'm going to place the front facing directly on top of that. So I'm going to sandwich the trouser pocket opening right between the front facing and the pocket bag. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to sew it 1/4 inch away from the edge. I'm going to pivot at this corner and sew off the edge. I'm going to back stitch at both ends, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to clip this corner to release the tension, and then we'll be ready for the next step, which is understitching. Once we've stitched the front facing of the pocket to the pant and the pocket bag, we're going to go ahead and clip this corner right here, and we want to clip right to but not through the stitches. So be pretty aggressive about this, but you want to be careful you don't clip through the stitches. If we don't get all the way through the stitches when we get ready to turn it, it won't turn successfully. Once we've clipped to the corner, but not through it, we're ready for the next step, which is simply doing the understitching. We're going to take the pocket bag, pull it away from the self or the front of the trouser. We're also going to take the facing and do the same thing. Keep some tension on it. We want to make sure we keep that really snug. And then we're going to edge stitch right along the facing, 1/16 of an inch away from the edge. When we get to that pivot point here, we're going to pull that fabric out of the way, and then we'll pivot on the sewing machine and we'll continue sewing straight down. Once we have that understitching in place, we can go ahead and anchor the rest of the facing to the pocket bag, simply by sewing along the overlock edge, about 1/8 of an inch away, just like we did on the back pocket overlay. Now that we've understitched the front facing to the pocket bag, and we've stitched the facing to the pocket bag, just like we did on the back overlay, we're ready for the next step. And just so you're aware, the understitching here, what its purpose is to force the fabric on the pocket side to roll to the back. So anytime you're doing understitching, keep all the seam allowances pressed toward the facing or the part that's going to go to the inside. Understitch close to that edge, and it will help keep those front edges very nice and clean. Now, if you want to see what this is going to finish like, we're going to match up to a notch here that shows where the top of the pocket bag is at the waistband. There's also a notch that indicates where the bottom of the opening should be for the pocket. When we turn it over, you'll see the pocket folds nicely in place. At this point, if we wanted to, we could simply take the bottom of the pocket bag, align the edges, and sew it at 1/2 of an inch, and then overlock that edge. But there's another finish that's a little cleaner. It's a French seam. So what I'm going to do is once it's been folded into place, I'm going to unfold it. I'm going to take the pocket bag. So in essence, the outsides of the pocket bag are inside, and the inside of the pocket bag are outside. So you can see the insides. What we're going to do is align the bottom edges. And I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Once I do that, I'm going to turn to the other side and I'm going to sew it 1/4 inch away from the edge, and that'll give us a nice clean finish. I've sewn the pocket bag so that the insides are out, the inside of the pocket bag is facing us, 1/8 inch away from the bottom edge. So that's what it looks like. Now we're going to turn it into its position. Go ahead and make sure we get those corners out nice and tidy. If you like at this point, you can go ahead and give it another nice press. And now we're going to sew it at 1/4 inch. What that's going to do is give us a nice French seam finish on the bottom of the pocket and make it very stable and secure over time. We've French seamed the bottom of our pocket bag. The last and final step for the slant pocket before connecting it to the back of the trouser is simply to put it into place. We're going to align the pocket notch at the bottom here on the side seam. We're going to align the pocket notch at the top at the waistband. And we can either baste across the top or we can stay stitch. Any stitch that is outside or closer to the cut line than 1/2 inch is not going to show because our seam allowance is 1/2 inch. So we can stay stitch up here within that 1/2 inch seam allowance, and we can stay stitch this side. And our slant pocket is complete, and we're ready for the next part of our project.